You're listening to
Northern Light Public Radio
on 102.7
KCHW.
Tooele.
There you go. There's a new sheriff in town. He's a little different. Good morning. It's KCHW 102.7. Thanks for joining us here on a Wednesday. That means in the studios, we have the one and only Michelle Williams, our station manager, and the big guy, Mike. We should put some echo on that. Mike Bentz.
Sounds like an old Rainier beer commercial.
I know. It was
awesome. It was
That was pretty good.
That was like NASCAR or something.
I could do that. Get ready to rumble.
Yes.
You know, he gets way too much time to prepare in the morning.
I think that's great. I think you should.
You know, it's like 10 o'clock there or something.
Right.
You know? So he's probably had 4 cups of coffee, 2 breakfasts, and taken Mooch for a walk.
Yes. Yes, do all 3. I actually had meat for breakfast. So I'm doing that keto thing. So that's a little different.
How's that going?
Not so well. I'm looking down and, yep, I'm still fat. All right, bad enough I run 2 computers on this end from Maine, and then I have to log in and run Mike's computer too.
Well, yeah, but this computer was, one of the Dell originals back in 1980, I think.
It is pretty old, and I think it's been running nonstop for about 8 years.
Yeah, well,
9.
I expect one of these times I'm going to come in here, it'll be like an old hand crank, like an old telephone, that I'll have to be putting a little hamster wheel on it just so I can, use this computer.
So I never shut off computers. I never shut them off. And I never have. Now, sometimes, of course, they'll get an update or they reboot or there's a power outage or something like that. But I never shut off a computer. And there is one under the desk that used to run all the music on air. And that was a personal computer. Before that, that computer ran nonstop, get this, for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
Except for cleanings and power outages, it ran and it finally gave up the ghost. But that's a long time.
That's
just
a long
to
time,
just
yeah.
always be running. Yeah.
You would think just the software updates at some point would lock it up.
Yeah.
Huh.
But sometimes they force them on you. It just kind of happens.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And that's a big pet peeve of mine when they install updates without your permission, even though you've been putting them off, and then all of a sudden you come in and you go, oh, my computer rebooted, and then you turn it back on and you find that like some of those Microsoft programs like OneNote. Or it used to be Microsoft had like a chat service, and you would close it and make it so it wouldn't come on every time your computer turned on. And after they do a reboot, they turned all that stuff back on, and they're still doing it with OneNote. You can tell it, don't come on when I start my computer. Keep it out of your taskbar, and you get a reboot, and if you click that little up arrow, you'll see it running in there again. And that really irritates me that they turn on things that you've turned off on your computer.
Well, and then at least in my case, when it updates, it seems like it changes the font, it'll change the display, it'll, and then of
messes
course
with all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
And in my case, I do shut mine off, but then I do the updates, at night, do the restart, and then when you fire it up in the morning, you always wonder whether it's going to come on,
Right.
Because it sits there and looks at you and thinks. And saying, I'm keeping an eye on you, and if you're not doing the right thing, I'm not going to bring up your programs. So
I should have an option where you can restore personal settings on startup.
Oh, yeah, that'd be really cool. Put it back the way it was. Thank you.
right, yeah,
Google if you're listening, or whatever. Dell,
yeah.
whoever makes
Bill
computers.
Gates.
Doesn't he have enough to do?
And then get in our computers at night and mess with them? Apparently not.
That's right. Well, the big brother's keeping an eye on you, Scott.
He's probably got like a whole task force just for that.
So excited. Last night I got Disney Plus. So I'm behind the times. So I have started watching The Mandalorian.
Ooh. Yes, I love that show.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I stayed up till 2 binge watching. So I'm a little weird today.
I like it.
I'll embarrass you guys in front of the mayor. Who is going to be here at what time?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
8
Yep.
o'clock. All right.
Yep.
All right. And what are we going to talk about today?
I sent you an email.
Oh, I did not read it. You know I'm retired, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well,
I read it.
he's going to give us an update on the 5 pillars that he's been promoting, and then I'm going to ask him to talk a little bit about where we're at in the downtown strategies,
Very good.
and then since Michelle's going to be on in front of him on the fall festival, then because she's fall festival. I'll just put it that. I mean, every time I turn around, she's involved somewhere with the fall festival.
If you look at the little, we get a list every week after the meeting of who to contact for which parts of it. And it seems
Right.
like my name is on there like 4 or 5
5
times.
times.
And I'm like, okay.
Well, somehow now my name got on the list for music. And I'm thinking, did I volunteer for that somehow? Did I raise my hand? And,
I don't even want to hear that.
well, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll call George straight up and see if he can stop by.
You got some connections then.
Wouldn't that be impressive?
Wow. So be careful, Michelle. Fall festival, and you're in every department. That makes you the fall guy.
Well, I've already convened with the powers that be, and they're in my favor, apparently.
Okay.
So things are coming together nicely.
Yeah, they are actually. I had to zoom in this last week. I wasn't at the meeting, and in that Zoom over there, I'll have to tell Greg does not work very well because when he talks, you can hear him really well, and then Michelle starts talking, and nothing comes through the speaker for about 15 seconds, and then all of a sudden,
got lag time.
there's a lag time. But
And that's it. They're doing that through the city. You'd think. I know they got good internet in that building, so that's kind of weird.
well, if it's got good internet, it's not doing very well. I can tell you that.
Or maybe they're using Wi-Fi.
That could be.
And they got a weak signal there or something. Could be.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, nope. It's I think it's coming along pretty good, but that's kind of in my notes to finish up with the best. Michelle Williams on Fall Festival updates.
All right, real quick then, we'll get some stuff out of the way. 79 degrees for your high temperature today. Sunny to partly sunny. You guys are so lucky.
Yeah.
49 degrees tonight. Partly cloudy skies. We'll give way to cloudy skies late at night. Tomorrow you'll have morning clouds, a 15% chance of rain, and afternoon sun, high of 72, low of 42. 69 and 43 with clouds for Friday. Saturday mostly sunny and 74, 44 for an overnight low. Going to have a good weekend. Sunday 78 and 46, partly cloudy. Monday 83. Tuesday 84. You guys are getting a little last blast of summertime. It stinks here. I looked at the extended forecast. Don't have a day over 66, and most of them in the 50s. Winter has already struck Maine. Yuck. And that hurricane, of course, you don't get hurricanes in Maine, but it is going to come all the way up the East Coast with the edge of it, bringing lots of winds, what they call riptides. I have yet to experience one, but I'm hopeful.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
I guess it's something that sucks your boat out to sea or something. So I'm
yeah.
looking for a canoe.
No, Scott, it sucks you under the water.
Oh, under the water.
Riptide-
Well,
riptide
I'm pretty
kind of
buoyant. Good
falls
luck
on
with
top
that.
itself. Okay.
Are you
I'm
buoyant?
one of those things that float out in the water and go ding,
I was
ding.
gonna say, here goes Scott. This is the main buoy. So
Micro world.
Make sure you get it on TikTok. It'll go viral.
that's right. He's on his way to Greenland.
That might be kind of nice. All right. There's weather out of the way. A couple news headlines. Big warning out by the FDA. I saw this on TV yesterday, and I'm like, really? It's a new TikTok challenge the kids are doing. Watch out. Lock up your NyQuil because kids are cooking chicken in cough medicine.
Oh,
really?
my gosh. What?
Not only is it silly and unappetizing, it's also very unsafe, according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. They call it the Sleepy Chicken Challenge. which makes it sound way too fun.
Exactly.
It's actually dangerous, so I shouldn't be laughing. Number of videos challenge people to cook chicken in NyQuil, which contains acetaminophen, dextromorphan, and doxylamine, or another similar over-the-counter cough and cold medication. Boiling medicine can make it much more concentrated, the FDA says, and change its properties in other ways. It says even if you don't eat the chicken, inhaling the medication's vapors while cooking could cause high levels of drugs to enter your body, and it could also hurt your lungs. This is not the first time the FDA has warned against social media challenges that use non-prescription medicine. In September 2020, similar warning was issued by the FDA after reports of teenagers getting admitted to emergency rooms or dying after participating in the Benadryl challenge on the short video app. I guess if you take enough Benadryl, you start hallucinating, Mike.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, there's like enough Tylenol in NyQuil. If you used a whole bottle of it to cook something and concentrated it down, that's really damaging for your liver and your kidneys. Really bad. And your kidneys don't recover. Like, that's a little medical tip. You do damage to your kidneys, that's forever.
All right.
On that happy note.
Right.
Yeah, now I'm really scared. Moving on to funner stuff. Well, not at all. Let's see. Donald Trump getting a lawsuit number 41. A New York law lets sexual assault victims sue over attacks that happened decades ago. And a columnist from LA Magazine is using that and has filed, she already has a civil suit against him. Now she's filed an actual criminal suit against Donald Trump. So the cases against him keep mounting. Moving on to Washington Monument, yesterday, temporarily closed after a man vandalized the national landmark with profanities and red paint and then was immediately arrested. Didn't work out so well for him.
Good. Ugh.
I think they should make him, fix it with a toothbrush.
That's
right.
With watches.
He should be
And
in
then,
charge of restoring it for the next 3 years.
Yes. And then My Pillow CEO Mike Lindell in the news all week long. Four entrepreneurs whose businesses were set to be listed on his new MyCommerce e-platform have pulled out of his plan because of his investigation by the FBI. And one of the main financiers of his new My Store platform, which I'm guessing is like an eBay, Amazon kind of thing, also pulled out. So that might not be happening now.
Oh.
And yeah.
Interesting. Any word on what they're investigating him for?
Isn't it the false accusations?
Oh yeah, it's defamation lawsuit for his
Oh.
claims about the voting machines. Not
Oh, that's right. We
He
talked
just
about that
lost
yesterday.
one, a big one, like $1.2 billion.
wow.
You know, so
I didn't know you could make that much money off pillows. Boy, have I
he
missed
makes
the
a
boat.
lot of money off of pillows.
He has
Well,
been
think about
inducted
it.
though
Everybody's got a
along.
pillow.
Yeah, he has been inducted into the Bad Hair Club though. So that's good news.
Okay, all right. I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, those are all the headlines that popped up this morning that I thought were maybe just worth mentioning. And other than that, we turn things over to Mike Bentz, who is going to run down our nonprofit lowdown
Oh man,
every Wednesday.
Yep, I sat down last night to do the update, and 5 pages later,
Wow.
there's a lot going on. So I'm just going to reiterate what I said last week. If you think there's nothing to do in Chihuahua, you're living under a rock. That's all there is to it. So anyway, let's start out with the chamber, the Chihuahua Chamber of Commerce, and I'm just going to kind of run down to the auction at last because I've got a lot on it. First of all, Boo Fest is happening, and it's on the 28th of October. It's going to be from 3:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon. Michelle Williams and Brandon Hansen are in charge of that. You'll see that Michelle Williams thing come up lots, in fact, there's probably going to be a plaque outside of town, the home of Michelle Williams.
Oh,
But anyway,
I think that'd actually be better than Welcome Home. I'm still scratching my head over that one. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, we're already starting to get a fair number of inquiries on that. And just watching social media type stuff, people say, what day is it? And is it this day or that day? It's on the 28th. It's a Friday from 3:30 in the afternoon till 5:30 in the afternoon. And it's promised to be better than it was last year. And last year was phenomenal. City sidewalks, the planning is starting on that. That's going to be on December 3rd. This year it's going to be in conjunction with the Farmers Market, the Creative District, and city sidewalks. And Farmers Market will be closing off 3rd Street by the Senior Center, and they'll have their big tent and all the vendors that come to that. The Creative District will be transferring the Huff Cultural Center over to this Chowilla. Chowilla, CHWILLA. So, but hey, I'm not a creative type, so I'll just let them go forth that. But they've got all kinds of plans on what they're going to do over there. And then city sidewalks will be taking care of the Main Street, basically. I have no idea what they're going to do at this point in time, but in the past they've had carolers, they've had music, they've had, all those things you would find for like a Hallmark Christmas type thing. So that's well on the planning track. Small Business Saturdays coming up on the 26th of November. We'll start putting some traction on that here pretty quick once the Fall Festival gets over with, because you get too many things stacked on top of it, then the sizzle for the Fall Festival will not be there as much as it should be. Just to remind everybody, the Forest Service is still at the Chamber office on Tuesdays from 10 to 2. Go in and see Eric and get everything you need to get that's Forest Service related. Permits, firewood. And I guess in the Colville National Forest, you don't have to buy a permit anymore for firewood.
Oh,
and
really?
So, yeah, that came up in something the other day. So if I'm wrong, don't quote me. So it...
Mike Bentz said, I didn't need to have a permit for this.
That's right. Exactly. Anyway, so let's go on to the Chamber auction. The gala auction is coming up on October 8th. The doors open at 4:30 for the silent auction, and then 6 o'clock will be dinner, and then the live auction with, and I know his name's Steve. Help me out. The auctioneer, Scott
Irwin? I can't remember. I just know it's
okay. All right. The infamous or famous Steve, the auctioneer, will be there. The comedian auctioneer. He's been there several times, and I bet that in itself is worth the price of admission. Speaking of price of admission, it's $40 per person, and you can either have a choice of beef or chicken. This year they're going to have a featured artist. The artist will be Red Burnell. She's a ceramist. I think I got that right. She actually showed at the Spotlight Gallery a while back, and then the first Thursday she was in the Trails Inn Gallery as one of the featured artists inside there. Just beautiful, beautiful work that's both artistic and then also functional. So that's kind of a nice little twist. I believe the wines are being provided by Fruitland Winery over
wonderful.
On is it Highway 25 over by Lake Roosevelt in that neighborhood. And the auction items. Peony sent me this list of auction items, and I can tell you right now, if you go to the auction, you won't have to go Christmas shopping anywhere.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
Oh, we have Mountain View Community Park has got a 7.5 foot Christmas tree and display that'll be set up. It's set up right now in Washington Federal Bank. If you want to go over and take a look at it.
Nice.
Legacy Farm and Stable will have a horseback ride. The typical logger, Bureau Logging, will be there with a game camera and camping out. Scott, maybe you ought to bid down that remote. You're up in the middle of nowhere. A game camera would be nice, and it sounds to me like you're camping out every weekend.
I think people would see a lot of unflattering pictures of me in my backyard.
Well, that might be fun. Okay.
Because literally, no one can see me when I'm in my yard. Literally, no one.
No one can.
We could have a secondary little skit after what Scott thinks about in the shower. And like,
Scott from his backyard.
Photos from Scott's backyard.
And Michelle's technologically enough astute that we'll bring in Google Earth.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Marion did post on Facebook that I'm a dork.
Well, Marion, it's nice to know somebody else is out there intelligent also.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Omni Gaming has got a virtual reality for an hour, and they have that theater inside, which is phenomenal for a couple hours. Oh, man. Chowilla Golf and Country Club has got a 9-hole season pass. Scott's Tree Service is giving away a Live Edge black mantle, walnut mantle, which is beautiful. I mean, Whitestone Calcium, The Body Shop, Two-Wheel Auto Parts, KCHW. You can bid and get some underwriting taken care of.
Yeah, a month of sponsorship.
A month of sponsorship, yeah.
Good way to get your feet wet and and find out if you want to support public radio.
That's right. Exactly. Absolutely. Okay, Red Line, God-Fearing Brothers has got a couple of nights at the Coeur d'Alene Resort with a $100 dining credit. That's,
Nice.
That's a nice package. Yale Press is in there. Hanson Logging and Rich Richmond Logging will have the logging truckloads. Chuila Center for the Arts has got not only tickets, but 10 separate performances you'll get tickets to. So basically, you'll get a full season.
Yeah, so it's like a season pass.
A season pass, exactly.
Hey, nice.
Which is new, and it's really nice. Dawson Trucking, who is, I believe, one of our best underwriters, been around since Scott was a toddler.
Yes, like I think the first 30 days of that the radio station was on the air, I think it was Setty's, Dawson's, and Dr. Kolstad. When he used to have his office, all came on board. It was amazing, and Setty's and Dawson's have been with us ever since.
Yep, they've been long term. So
unbelievable support for public radio. Thank you, guys.
The Chewelah Valley Lions have got their 12 months of desserts, which will be auctioned off per table. That's the way it normally goes, I believe. The tables take care of that. The Gentle Dentistry is $1,000 worth of dental work. 49 Degrees North, Ewan's Fabrication, Shadow Coat Custom, and Westoff Welding is doing a custom chairlift swing, one of the old Bonanza chairs. That'll be pretty cool. And they sold out on their premier sponsors. The premier sponsors are the tables that are set up where people buy a table. They were set up for $800 a year this year. So we have Stump & Sons Farms, Rich Richmond Logging, Valley Drug, Westoff Excavation, Acres United Drug, Hanson Logging, Godfrey Brothers, Chewelah Golf and Country Club, and Red Line Finishing. So got a great lineup for the auction.
Awesome.
And then Puani wanted me to be sure to remind people that the raffle basket is available. The raffle tickets are $10 a pop. You can get those at Acres, Valley Drug, or the Independent. And I can, I've done this 3 or 4 times now. The testimony, if you enter, you can win. I've done that twice. So, and the more you enter, the better your odds get. So
apparently,
yeah. So, and they're gonna there's guaranteed at least $1,500 worth of chamber bucks or gift cards in that basket.
And Mike is the only guy that's ever spent $2,000 in tickets to win $1,500.
Well, I don't know about that, but what I spent, it to me, it's not spending; it's an investment in the
donation.
Community,
Yeah,
and that's the thing I tell people when you go to these auctions. It's not like going to an estate sale. I mean, these are designed to raise money. So be sure to bring your checkbook or your credit card. They'll take credit cards too. So that's coming up pretty fast. I think that's 2 weeks out from this coming Saturday. And with that, let me move on real quick. The Creative District, the mural, 214 East Main is completed now. It's been sealed. Over on Tracy Manley's, Tracy Manley's the mural artist on Melanie Huff's building over there, the Aaron Cultural Center, and I think it's a phenomenal addition to downtown.
Yeah, it looks great.
It really looks really cool, yeah. So, and there's a chair in front of it, so if you want to go over and sit in the chair and take a picture of the mural, you've got that opportunity, from that standpoint. The Mammoth mural, we been working on getting that done, so it's getting close to completed. We had it was cleaned by Kevin Weston of Weston's Window Cleaning here a while back, and on yesterday, I think it was, wasn't it Monday? Yeah. Keith Powell was one of the original artists, and Forrest Goverdare, the son of David Gover, the other artist, did all the touch-ups. So it's all, as far as what from an artist perspective, they did everything they felt that it needed before we seal it. And so the sealing hopefully will take place sometime after the 1st of October. And you got to go by and look at it, and just don't drive by. Stop and look at it and see to where the highlights are. I mean, when he was explaining to me, Keith was explaining to me what he was going to do, I really didn't get it until I saw it. So what he did is basically highlight all the characters that are in it. And so it kind of pops, I guess, for lack of a better term. And two interesting facts on that mural. The first one is that mural was painted so there were no shadows involved.
Oh.
And if you look at it, he's right. From any angle, it looks like it's in front of you. So there's no shadows at all. And then the other one, this is way before my time, but Scott, maybe you remember, there used to be a different mural on that building. It was like a farmhouse and farm animals and things like that. And
I don't remember that because I left in like '84 and then didn't come back until, wow, I don't know, 2000s.
Oh,
so.
okay. The mural was painted in '99. And so when the whole mural was done, there's a small section in there where they didn't paint over the original mural.
Oh, neat.
And so I'm sitting here thinking, okay, at some point we're going to have a contest.
See who can find it?
See who can find it.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, now I do know there are some people that know where it's at because somebody told me about it before Keith showed it to me. But you know, kind of a, you know, it's, you know, a little bit of contest. Say, okay, go find and I'm not going to mention what it is, but, you know, it's part of a farmyard scene that's in the middle of a mammoth mural. So,
interesting.
And it's not even in the middle. I'll give you a hint. PACA, just in the short term, PACA's got Salish Days coming up on the 22nd of September. And then on the 6th of October, they're going to have an artist talk. I'm running out of breath here. See what I'm saying? Community events. Taste of Chihuahuas coming up on the 29th of September, and that's always a fun time, and that's got limited tickets. I think there was only 250 tickets available. So if you haven't got one, I definitely go to what I call the usual suspects, Acres and Valley Drug and the Independent, and see what's available. And that's where various restaurants, including the Rusty Putter Bar and Grill, will have unique or like appetizer type stuff. And the Rusty Putter is people say, well, it's clear up the golf course. No, it's not. The Rusty Putter will set up at Quartzsite Brewery. So it'll be part of that downtime thing. Let's see, I'll do the golf course and then we'll go to the Fall Festival. The golf course, the weather has been so nice and the course is in such great shape. It's like June, July shape. Jason made the decision we're going to leave it open to the 23rd of October, which is a week longer than normal. And I was astounded by the number of people that were playing on the golf course. I mean, it was busy.
Awesome.
And this time of year, the people that are generally speaking playing that golf course are not from Chihuahua, which is nice because it's bringing people in from the outside. So other than that, Fall Festival. I'm, I don't know. You can't compliment Michelle enough and the work she's doing behind the scenes on that. I mean, I can't look at Facebook. I can't look at email. I can't look at anything without that thing being in front of me. Congratulations on that. And, of course, that's tied into the Wildland Firefighters Foundation. And it sounds like on the last call I was on that's ready to go. I mean, it sounds like Nandus has got that nailed and dialed in. And so with that, I am going to turn it over to Michelle and give us an update of wants, needs, and highlights of the coming Fall Festival.
All right. So things are coming along really, really well. Support from the community has been really great. Volunteers are definitely needed. So if you want to get involved, please feel free to contact me on any social media platform you can find me on. You can also call the station to get a hold of me or stop by. I'm typically here anywhere from 10 to 14 hours a day getting all this stuff done.
Home away from home.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm glad there's a little sofa. I can nap. But yeah, so this week I will be putting out, I did an interview for one of the bands that will be playing at the festival. So I'll finishing up the editing on that today, and that will go out on Thursday at 6 p.m. And then I'm possibly might air it again on Saturday for anyone that might have missed it. But they're phenomenal band out of Kettle Falls called the Fire Bottle Brothers. They just played Farm Jam. They've done Farm Jam 2 years in a row, and they're getting quite a buzz. They're a very dynamic group. I was very impressed with their abilities when they came into the station. So yeah, I'll have that ready to go, and it will be out tomorrow. So if you get a chance to tune in and listen to that at 6 p.m., I'm sure you'll enjoy it as much as I did.
Well, I think you posted that on Facebook.
I did a snippet.
You did a snippet because Loretta goes, you got to listen to it. These guys are good.
Oh, they're great. And, you know, they weren't even all there. They were missing 2 members of their band. I had 4 out of 6 that were here. But then I'm also interviewing another band this Saturday called Out West, and they're country cover and original band out of North Spokane. They're also very good. So I will have that out next week, right before, to do a little promo and push that out.
Okay. On the volunteer side, you know, I know you pushed out some information. You're still looking for volunteers. Are you just looking for bodies? I mean,
yeah,
you
primarily. I need people to help set up tables, tents, the stage setup. We're setting up a 16 by 20 stage with a 20 by 20 tent around it to keep everything kind of shielded in case we do have some weather. So yeah, people to help set things up, people to kind of make sure that our garbage cans aren't overflowing, you know, things like that. Really simple stuff, not incredibly time consuming, just a couple hours of your day, walk around and make sure that things are, you know, staying picked up. And I've had a lot of people interested in help set up. My tear down crew though is like bones. I got no one.
So tear down, when you're talking about, isn't the vendor tear downs?
No.
Because they're responsible for that.
Right.
So
I'm talking 10 p.m., tearing down the big stuff, getting it loaded back on the trailer so that I'm probably me can take it back to Spokane and get it delivered back to the rental company.
Okay. So we really, 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 really need the help at 10 o'clock. So you night owls out there.
Right.
You know, it's a good opportunity to see Chewelah after dark.
And it is beautiful, actually. Like, I have been leaving here late at night, you know, and when the street lights come on and it's just so peaceful and it's so nice.
Yep.
Like, I used to walk through Chewelah at night because it was so peaceful and
I'm going to warn you. Scott used to walk the alleyways at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Don't do
playing
that.
Batman.
I'm not big enough for that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not big enough for
Neither
that.
was I.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's probably the biggest need, it sounds like, is, and they can call the radio station, they can go on the website and pick up a volunteer form.
And if the form, for whatever reason, is not working for you, please don't hesitate to send me a message.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all over, everywhere, you know, in several different places. So.
Yeah. You know, Brad Schaefer's got a term that he uses a lot, you know, many hands make, you know, the work light, basically, and that's effectively what that needs to be.
I have one, too. It's teamwork makes the dream work.
That's true. Yeah. Exactly. That's a good one, actually. So,
anyway,
so it's coming along really, really well. You know, the parade, I think you need to get a hold of Debbie Akers on the parade.
I actually just finished the route map for the parade and for the shuttle for parking areas and all of that. And I forwarded that off to the Independent, so hopefully they can get it in the paper to kind of make everyone aware where the parade is going to be at. And
well, then parking's always been an issue, so this time around parking will be off-site, and thanks to 49 Degrees North, they're going to provide a shuttle.
I know, they're wonderful.
We're great to shuttle people back and forth, and I believe at 6 o'clock we need a new driver for the shuttle.
That's true.
And I believe they have to have a CDL or some kind of a
I have some family that does bus driving, so I'm going to try to tap that resource and see if I can get them to volunteer to help out with that.
But, you know, it gives you an idea of the breadth of the number of people that are participating in this. You know, and I made a comment the other day, it'd be great at some point, maybe next year or next week, to get a list of the vendors and a variety of different things, and really kind of generate some excitement around who's going to be there and what's going to be there.
And you bring up a good point, too, because vendor registration closes this weekend.
Okay.
That way I can get that list populated, and I can start adjusting the vendor maps and assigning locations to different vendors. So if you're out there and you're still wanting to get signed up for arts, crafts, and whatever that special thing is that you do, please make sure you access that vendor registration form. And if for whatever reason it's not working for you, again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I can help. I have physical copies of registration forms. I think right now we are in the neighborhood of 50 vendors, which is pretty fantastic for a first go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big believer, and I tell people the first time you do anything, the pioneers take the arrows. So, kind of keep that in mind. This is the first shot at this, and some things will work, some things won't work, and it's just a learning curve on how to make the next one better.
Right. Well, fortunately, I have done this before. So I kind of have a little bit of experience.
So we have a pro. So what we've got the ramrod, the scout,
I've made some mistakes in the past that gracefully I have learned from, and I know how to make things a little bit more organized as long as I have willing participants to help make it, make my strategies effective. So like I said before, volunteers, I would really like to start assembling some volunteers early next week so I can kind of have a volunteer meeting, get a rundown, explain to everybody what I need them to do and how the process works.
So reach out to your groups of people you're involved in, your friends and neighbors and countrymen.
Right.
And just say, hey, we need some help. And it's only a couple hours out of your time, out of your day or evening.
And
really
I think we
cause.
are trying to do a little bit of an incentive for the volunteers, where I'm going to create little volunteer press pass badges, and they will get the free meal ticket from one of the vendors throughout the day so that they can actually eat for free at the festival. And Justin and I have kind of tossed around the idea of maybe hosting a volunteers party the weekend after. So there's some little get-togethers and things that might incentivize some people to come and hang out and kind of see how things are done, and then maybe we can grow a new population of volunteers that can help out in future events. It's kind of what we're hoping
especially if the mayor wants us doing one every quarter, right?
Yeah, I know. The mayor's sitting over here. The taskmaster. I think the objective is to do something once a quarter, and focus in on that, and I know they're working on a Winterfest type thing, and more to come on that, but we don't want to mess up the waters of the fall festival. So once that's done, then we'll start talking about what's happening on the Winterfest side. So, okay, anything else? What am I missing?
Did you give a plug for the farmers market on Friday?
Oh, we were right. Farmers market's on Friday.
11 to 3:30.
Yep, 11 to 3:30. They've got a lot of new vendors. I mean, I was reading on something the other day. They have like 30 new vendors out there. It's huge.
I need to go collect cards.
Yeah, I mean, and the weather's been phenomenal for them pretty much the entire year. And in fact, I look for the weather on October 1st. It's supposed to be in the low 70s to high 60s, partly cloudy, and 45 at night. Now, is that perfect weather for a festival?
It's a good weather.
I told you.
Yes, and I looked at 2 different weather sites, so the odds of it happening are better.
If they agree.
They agree. Maybe. But, come rain, come shine, hopefully no snow.
Yeah. Last year I had the same concerns from everyone. It's the middle of October. The weather's no. Could just convene with the powers that be. We ask for their blessing, and you're good. And I've done that again.
That's right.
So we're good.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
And there's these things called umbrellas. All right, I had one before we go to break. We have one public service request that came in, and this is for tomorrow and Friday. It is out of Spokane, but if you're going to the north side, the Pulse Heart Institute is having a free blood pressure check and educational booth for people to learn the signs of heart attacks, cardiac events. This is going to be taking place at the Meade North 40 Outfitters. And what they say is many hunters this time of year suffer heart attacks and cardiac events while hunting out in the wild, because sometimes us old guys aren't used to all that hiking. And then you just do it once a year, right? So they're having these screenings on Friday and Saturday from 10 to 4:30 if you're in that area.
I think that's a great idea. It's really awesome of them to do that right abreast of the hunting season.
Yes.
And
all right. Other than that, we're off to break. When we come back, it's our mayor, Greg McCunn, and he's going to be talking about all sorts of good stuff happening in Chihuahua, so you want to stick around for that. It's KCHW 102.7 Northern Lights Public Radio, and we are right back.
5. Good morning.
It's 8:02.
You're listening to Northern Lights Public Radio on 102.7 KCHW, Chewelah, Springdale, Wellpinnet.
It's 8:02.
Your KCHW morning show, made possible by a donation from God-Fearing Brothers Auto Center. God-Fearing Brothers specializes in auto services, including repair, maintenance, and detailing. They also stock a full selection of tires, make glass repairs, offer towing, and have an auto sales lot on the corner of Highway 395 and Main Street at the light. For more information, you can visit the Auto Service Center at 806 East Main in Chewelah. Find them online at godfearingbrothers.com or by phone at 509-935-6414. KCHW FM thanks God-Fearing Brothers for supporting public radio in Stevens County.
This is KCHW, Chewelah, 102.7 FM.
You're listening to 102.7 KCHW, Chewelah.
Your KCHW morning show, made possible by a donation from God-Fearing Brothers Auto Center. God-Fearing Brothers specializes in auto services, including repair, maintenance, and detailing. They also stock a full selection of tires, make glass repairs, offer towing, and have an auto sales lot on the corner of Highway 395 and Main Street at the light. For more information, you can visit the Auto Service Center at 806 East Main in Chewelah. Find them online at godfearingbrothers.com or by phone at 509-935-6414. KCHW FM thanks God-Fearing Brothers for supporting public radio in Stevens County.
The Public News Service Joy Newscast, September the 21st, 2022. I'm Mike Clifford. A little-known facet of the CHIPS and Science Act, passed in Congress this summer to boost the semiconductor industry, could benefit areas of rural Pennsylvania in need of an economic shot in the arm.
Parts of the CHIPS Act is known as the Recompete Pilot Program. It includes $1 billion to revitalize distressed areas by helping towns and counties apply for federal funding for initiatives to support long-term economic growth and create lasting quality jobs. Ted Bettner at the Ohio River Valley Institute says parts of rural Pennsylvania could benefit substantially from these grants.
For example, like Greene County, Pennsylvania, over 1/3 of the working age population is not employed in the county, and that county would be able to benefit from a 100% federal grant if they applied. And it could be, in the tens of millions of dollars to help revitalize the county's economy.
He adds the grants could be used for land and site development, infrastructure investments, housing, workforce development, small business assistance, broadband access, resources to connect residents to opportunities. For a public news service, I'm Danielle Smith.
Dial 911 and it's more than likely a volunteer firefighter will respond to your emergency. In Massachusetts, there aren't enough of these volunteers.
More than half of some 360 fire departments in the Bay State are volunteer-run, and rarely do they fight actual fires. Most calls are for medical emergencies, but they also respond to floods, car accidents, and even hazardous waste spills. As climate change brings more extreme weather, firefighters can spend days or even weeks in rescue and recovery efforts. Fire Chief Joe Maruca of West Barnstable, Massachusetts, says that puts a great strain on volunteer crews.
Even our department with 40 volunteers sounds big, but it's only just about the right size. We would struggle on day 3 or day 4 of an event to be able to rotate people into the incident and sustain ourselves.
Many fire departments still rely on word of mouth, open house events, and old-fashioned door knocking to recruit volunteers. I'm Catherine Carley reporting.
And from ABC News, a Texas sheriff said Monday he was opening a criminal investigation into Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' migrant flight to Martha's Vineyard, as the stunt continues to draw criticism from Democrats and even some Republicans, and DeSantis defends what he calls a protest of border policies. Immigration attorneys working with some of the asylum seekers told ABC News that the migrants were given misleading information, including brochures about benefits they could receive in Massachusetts. This is PNS. Nevada needs to move away from natural gas and toward clean energy. That's the view of climate action groups that spoke up Tuesday at an open forum of the Nevada Public Utilities Commission.
The Pollution Free Nevada Coalition wants the PUC to scrutinize Southwest Gas proposals to expand natural gas infrastructure. Elspeth DiMarzio with the Sierra Club says the state needs to rely on solar and wind to generate power and promote electric appliances instead of gas.
To meet of 100% clean energy and zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, we need to really rapidly transition away from the use of methane gas in the electric sector and in buildings.
I'm Suzanne Potter.
Amid struggles with higher food and transportation costs, fewer donations, and increased demand, food banks in Indiana will soon have additional funding to help ensure more Hoosiers have food on the table.
The USDA is providing nearly $1.5 billion in funding for emergency food assistance nationally. At the Community Harvest Food Bank of Northeast Indiana, Carmen Cumberland explains their food distributions are up nearly 65% since January. And she says the federal investment will include both food and money.
Fresh produce like apples and oranges that have a longer shelf life. Also the canned proteins such as tuna, but also money for storage. We have a fleet of 10 trucks running on diesel. That cost has seen a huge increase.
It's estimated that 1 in 9 people in Indiana face hunger, including 1 in 7 kids, according to the nonprofit Feeding America. Mary Sherman reporting.
Indiana's Hunger Fighting Network recently submitted a report to help frame a national strategy to end hunger by the year 2030. Finally, Nadia Ramlagan tells us 1 in 4 Americans aged 65 and older take an unexpected tumble each year, and during Falls Prevention Awareness Week, experts are encouraging them to participate in local programs that can help them stay healthy and independent.
At the Maryland Living Well Center for Excellence, Wendy Farthing says her agency works with community-based groups to ensure older adults have access to workshops that can help them age safely in place.
These workshops that we offer across the state with various agencies, they really help the older adult improve their efficacy and keep them engaged and keep them active and keep them in their home.
Research shows exercise and movement like Tai Chi improves balance and strengthens legs, which can help prevent falls. Check with your healthcare provider about which type of exercise is best.
This is Mike Clifford for Public News Service, member and listener supported, heard on great radio stations, your favorite podcast platform. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
And we're back. I was scared for a moment, though. If you're watching online, it looked like I was the only one here.
Well, we wanted to make you scared.
All right.
The more we scare
It's
you, the better
KCHW 102.7. Joining us now in the studio once again. He's becoming a regular visitor. I love it. It's our Mayor Greg McCunn. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you, Scott and friends. And Scott, you didn't get the memo that we're meeting in the studio. I thought you were going to be there.
Yeah. Plane tickets for Maine to Chewila kind of expensive.
Oh, that's the problem. Okay,
Yeah,
all right, just
and
checking.
we were thinking maybe a holograph, but we don't have that technology. And then we were thinking like a big cardboard cutout.
Oh, I like that.
Action figure, yeah.
I want one too.
Yeah, well, you do have that Twins poster.
Yeah, we do.
So,
we do.
So we could just do a feature of that. Danny DeVito and Scott.
Nice.
All right. I get that all the time. It's either people tell me I look like Danny DeVito or Joe Pesci, and either one of them really hurt my feelings.
Really?
I mean,
Really?
yeah.
Some fantastic people.
How about somebody a little cooler? Come on.
Oh, I can't think of anybody else that short.
You remind me of
Yoda?
Mel Gibson.
Yeah, Yoda. Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson, is he short?
Yeah, well, Tom Cruise, he's short.
All right. Well, Greg, Mike had sent an email across with several areas that you wanted to touch base with. I thought maybe since Michelle just wrapped up talking about the festival, maybe you could start off with celebrations?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, kind of a real-time update as I was just before the break hearing about the shuttle volunteering last night. Bruce Knupp, one of our council members, volunteered to cover the 6 to 10 shift. So he's got a CDL, he's a bus driver, and is going to cover that spot for us. So that's good news for that celebration. But I'll tell you, for a first go, the talent that we have in this town to organize, get creative, and execute is just inspiring. Every Monday morning at 10 a.m. we're having a team meeting, which anyone is welcome to come and attend. It's just a touch point to kind of check through the operations goals and challenges that we're facing in executing the October 1st Chewelah Fall Fest. And I mean, the team is just getting a ton of stuff done. It's really, really remarkable, and it's an ambitious, first Fall Fest, but we're confident, and each week, we're getting some major sponsors coming in. Nick's Booth just signed on. The casino is going to be participating in sponsorship. There's a number of others that are just on the cusp, so we're looking really good for the celebration. Should be a fun time.
Yeah, and for me, kind of observing a little bit from the outside in more than anything else, the timeline was short, but the stuff's getting done.
Right.
And and I think the weekly meetings are phenomenal because it holds people accountable, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And then, but I wasn't aware the public could attend, so
yeah.
I would encourage them to attend. It's 10 a.m. in City Hall, right?
Correct. 10 a.m. Monday morning, City Hall. And on the volunteer front, reached out to Brock McMillan. He championed the effort around the painting of the pavilion, which, by the way, if you haven't driven by and seen the colors and the contrast and all of a sudden this architecture that we didn't even know we had in that pavilion, fantastic. Reminds me of sunrises and sunsets, the color choice.
It's really amazing.
Well, and it's part of that palette for the downtown strategies that they recommended.
Yeah.
Because that's what jumped out at me. And then, of course, I saw some Facebook traffic, email traffic on the volunteers that did that.
Yep.
And I think they said they had 300 man-hours of volunteer work in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and so kind of rabbit trailed us, but the Bonnie McCoy from Cowboy Church, Brock is adding New Life, and the Community Faith Church, all of whom are really interested in different ways they can get involved and serve the community. So that outreach has happened, and I think you'll have some
awesome
flood of supporters coming in shortly.
That is great news.
Okay, so let's. I mean, part of the celebrations is part of the economic development, which is they're all kind of tied together.
Yeah, all links together.
So one of the benchmarks or pillars that you've been working on is economic development.
Yeah.
So other than the celebration piece of that, what else is cooking on the economic development?
Sure.
side?
So we talked about downtown retail strategies and our partnership with them. The work done there first started off with the 5-year strategic planning effort, and that's really a comprehensive assessment of what are the precise steps we could take to kind of move to the next level in economic vitality. That work's been done and was in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, which I think is in this light a real first, and I think sends a message of how we are going to roll as a community, and that's a partnership environment where city and chamber are working together on shared goals and initiatives for our city. The real exciting part of that is it wasn't just the planning partnership, but that turned into the partnership financially with Retail Strategies for 1 year. And so if you could think of having the best accelerator to the big ideas that can make the biggest difference, and you need that professional help. I mean, honestly, kind of plug for Michelle, she's an accelerant to celebrations because of her experience. Well, now we've got that for economic development through Retail Strategy. So what's going to happen there is that we've had 4 leaders step up in our community. Mr. Mike Bentz leading tourism and promotion for the downtown 5-year plan. Stephanie Westoff is going to be leading design, and then Cindy Wilmoth is going to be leading the economic vitality, and I'll be coordinating a group of individuals to tackle policy and administration. So those are the 4 pillars. We had a number of individuals sign up to be involved in those pillars, and we're really encouraging people to kind of choose their area of passion to get involved. If you tap into your area of passion, you're going to be the most effective, you're going to be the most excited, and you're going to have the longest runway of energy because volunteerism takes a lot of work. So we've got probably, I would say, about 75 individuals across the different pillars signed up. Those leaders are going to be meeting with Jeremy from Retail Strategies coming up here in a week. That is tapping into kind of a direct line for them for resourcing and methods and ideas so that when they go back and start to form their respective groups by pillar, they've got the support they need and those teams can go ahead and execute. So,
okay. My mind was wandering there. That's what happens when you get old.
I'm with you, buddy. Squirrels are running everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So basically in the downtown strategies, some of the things we've seen already are things like at the pavilion over in the park, the palette. I know just on the chambers looking at new banners and things like that. And so one of the issues on that is to make sure it meets the palette.
Yep.
And the whole point by that is I don't think to force people to do the pellet, but use that as a recommendation when maybe they do an upgrade on a building.
Right.
Or, and it's more of a retail or commercial aspect of things, not so much from a residential standpoint.
Correct. Yeah, it really focuses on the commercial.
Which I think is really awesome because, like, if you look at some of the iconic places in Washington, like Leavenworth and even other areas in Spokane where these neighborhoods have this collective theme. They are very popular, attractions. They're beautiful neighborhoods. Leavenworth in particular is just one of those places that's like the go-to for certain things, like when they do the Christmas lighting ceremonies and things like that. So having that kind of a theme really brings in like an overall beauty of the area. So I think that's a great idea.
I think of it as like, if you were to ask, what is the Chewelah brand? That's going to have a sound, it's going to have a look, it's going to have a feel. And so the things like having a color palette or it's kind of a color scheme, if you will, or having different form-based codes is the technical term for that, put structure around the brand that you want to build. It's community developed, it's community inspired. We're not going to be Leavenworth. We're going to be Chewelah, right? We're going to take the best of us. And that ties into everything we're doing because the celebrations are thematically tied to who we are, our brand.
And that's part of the downtown strategies is help develop that brand.
Yep.
Because, everybody's got their own way of thinking of what their brand is. And the problem with that is if you're not on the same page, it sends too many different messages.
Yeah, exactly.
And so one of the things that I know looking at the marketing of the tourism development thing, in working with Ted on the rural tourism initiatives, things like that, that branding thing comes up a lot.
Yeah.
And I know from a Tri-County standpoint, they're looking at developing a Tri-County brand so people can say, yeah, whatever that is, they can recognize where they need to go. And the same thing here, and that's one of the things I think I'm looking forward to is to get a cohesive brand that everybody can jump on and utilize in their promotional capabilities, whether it's just a minor logo or some kind of a saying or tagline, whatever. But that's what Retail Strategy is going to help do.
Totally. And we're already getting outreaches from business owners, which is fantastic, on one of the things that property owners want to do is fill their buildings. Well, Retail Strategies is going to specifically help us create kind of the Chewelah pitch deck. We think of it as in terms of a packet that a business owner, landlord could send out to prospective tenants that would feature different types of lease options that could be available, different types of physical arrangements that could occur within their building. Why Chewelah is a great place to do business. If people have talked to me about business economic development, probably get tired of hearing me talk about data, but everybody around us is making decisions based on data. And up until we invested in our partnership with Downtown Strategies, we didn't have any data. Now we do. If you look at that, the front end of the 5-year plan, it's very data rich and really tells us how much opportunity we've got.
Well, and that was one of the things that jumped out at me, and Kevin Herta actually made this comment too. The investment up front, just getting the data was worth the investment.
Couldn't agree more.
And
absolutely.
And forgive me if I misstate something, but when I looked at that data, there are things that jumped out to me that, one of them being the average age is around 40 or 45 which was way less than what people's
Yeah.
perception is, because
Right.
this was quote unquote marketed as a retirement community way back when Scott was a toddler, that type of thing. And there's a perception that's what it is, and that's really not what it is. The other thing was the tracking of cell phone data in the trade area. One of the things that I think we need to realize, the trade area for Chewelah basically goes from Lake Roosevelt to Meade to the Pend Oreille and to Colville. So that's really a very large trade area. And then the economic benefit that's going out the door, they were able to track that, and that's what, as a business owner, that's what jumps out at me is, man, this money's walking down the street. How
Right.
can I
here.
capture that?
How do we keep it here?
How do we keep it here? Yeah, and so. Yeah, for the investment that was put forth, I mean, as long as that data doesn't get filed on the shelf and get dusty, it's mind-boggling. I've used that at the golf course. We met yesterday for our marketing meeting for 2023, and that's one of the things that we talked about was, okay, how do we take that data and drive it to get more people to come in?
Oh, yeah, and you guys did
stuff
a wonderful
like that.
job.
So,
case in point.
Yeah, exactly. So if
one other point I'd like to highlight, and maybe by way of forecast, we have community-wide a real appetite for execution now. Right, everybody knows we've done a good job of planning. We've got all that, and it's necessary. I'm not dismissing planning at all, but it really is a time for execution. One of the things that you'll see start to emerge and be a really hot topic as we get towards the end of this year and especially into next is business improvement districts, different taxing districts, and I don't want to scare anybody away with the T word. Excuse me. As I learn the different mechanisms for municipalities, communities to really accelerate and provide the funding to accomplish what the community wants to accomplish, there's 50 different ways to go about it. Some of them take 10, 12 years. Some of them happen in 2 years. The business improvement district, which is basically a taxing district where you choose a geography around a particular target area, those individuals agree to a specific tax rate that will go and create a fund for that district. That moves the needle fast. And I would argue that for all of us who care so deeply about preserving the Chewelah brand, we could unpack that for hours, but we don't want to do that over 10 years.
No.
We want to define what it is. We want to have community engagement like never before. And then we want to build the structure around it. If that can happen over 2 years, we'll have kind of put that flag in the ground. And I think as we experience growth, as more and more people, I don't know if you guys hear it, but I certainly do weekly at the market, are coming to Chewelah, looking for housing in Chewelah, want to build in Chewelah every single day. I think it's more important than ever that we get into execution mode.
Right. Yeah, you're way better off getting in front of it than having to fix it after the fact.
Bingo. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, and on the celebration side, we have the Fall Festival coming up.
Yep. Kind of check that box. Yep.
Any ticklers out there of what the vision will be going forward?
Well, I don't want to get too far ahead of it, but things stack quick when you look at life in quarters of a year. But I think there's some real mojo getting going for a Winterfest in Chewelah. Tim Nielsen, who's hosted the Winterfest for the Arts for the last 4 years, has really established something really special in the artistic community, reached out generously and said, hey, let's brand this for the community. Conversations have crossed a number of key stakeholders that would be invested in a Winterfest type of celebration. I'll just say this, when I looked at what skijoring was on YouTube, I saw people on skis being pulled by horses going over jumps.
I actually have
I'm just saying, I would love to see that. Now, the liability, I haven't even scratched the surface there.
Well, but I do have a cousin that does that.
Oh, really?
In Bozeman, yeah.
Okay.
He's done that for years.
All right.
And I'll send you some clips of it. It's pretty cool. But you got a perfect spot for it out here where the Melody Riders are.
I used to ice skate behind the car when I was a kid on the lake.
Yeah. You guys know what hookie bobbing is?
Oh, yeah. That's what we call it. Hookie bobbing. That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's upcoming, and and then hopefully we'll get into spring, and we're always looking kind of for the jump off point, and
DNR has been a fantastic partner. It's really fun to be able to support families of fallen firefighters. They're overwhelmed by the support that they're getting, but that's our jump-off point, right? It's part of our brand. We are a forestry community and related services, wildfires, firefighting, first responders. Gave us a jump-off point, so shout out to Nandis Taylor for reaching out and giving us a shot for Chewelah. And then, just so everybody knows, there's an adult version and the kids version. There's going to be promos going into the elementary and high school just this week and next to really stoke that. But particularly at Guess, we want to plug that because our Firefighter Association locally will be hosting some real fun activities for kids in the park on October 1st.
Yep.
Okay, so as we, communication is big.
Yep.
And I made the comment when we started the show that if you don't know what's going on in Chewelah, you're living under a rock.
Yeah.
But so what are some of the initiatives you put in on the communication side? I mean, being here is one of them.
Yeah. Absolutely, a great opportunity, and Scott, glad you're encouraged that I'm back regularly. As I've stated before, always willing to come in, and I think it's a great platform to provide updates and one way to engage the community. I've said during the campaign and for a lot of my corporate life that communication's a bugger, and I'll always own it. It's something you're always getting better at. Even last night, after the budget planning meeting with council, we were talking about different ways that we enhance communication. So you're kind of always working on it. I think at the chamber marketing side, we're always talking about how do we incorporate a single calendar, kind of a one-stop that's interactive, informative across every sector. It's tough work.
That's one of the things that Justin and I are looking to tackle as we begin our SOPs for the association. That is one thing on our agenda. We want to have a calendar that all the organizations can put their activities or events on. So they'll be local, they'll be, tri-county, they're regional, and he has a plan to make them so that you can access the main one and then collapse it down to more local based. And then even one for community citizens for like if they want to list their yard sales and things like that and really kind of bring it very, very local to Chewelah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We had part of my intent, which I haven't delivered on as much as I'd like to, was to have a regular cadence of publication of kind of mayoral updates for the independents. So that's still on my target and my radar. Learning and getting better at managing the challenges of City Hall with the greater responsibility of getting it all done inside of the hours that are given in a particular day. So like I said, communication's tough. I'm completely committed to it. We've got a very strong council right now, all independent thinkers, but they would be an active and fun participant in this conversation. Say if we're talking about like business economic development,
right?
So we have this unique alignment that I think is really advantageous. Always encouraging them to kind of continue to plug in and aid in that communication effort, so that we're kind of getting the word out.
Yeah, I think that. I'm a little off topic here, but one of the things that I know that you've done some reorganization inside of City Hall.
Yep.
And Pam McCart has moved, or I don't know if she's moved over there yet.
Call it moving.
Moving over to a position that is focused in on enforcement and grant writing.
Yep.
And so
among other subjects. Yep, she's
among other things. Yeah, that's kind of the Chewelah thing. Let's have 10 fingers in the pie instead of 5.
Well, we're trying not to overdo it, but we don't want to underdo it. The concept was that we need a grant writer.
Right.
We need someone solely focused on public records requests. We need someone specifically focused on enforcement. Well, that's 3 FTEs. Cities can't afford 3 FTEs, so we're trying to think of the position and took a lot of time to design the job role that wouldn't do everything. Wouldn't touch every pot, but would touch the key ones in a focused way. And that's the new role that Pam McCart's going to fill, which also brings up, just for listeners, and they're out there, we are actively continuing to interview and take applications for clerk-treasurer. It's a big task to fulfill the shoes of one Pam McCart, who's been with the city for 27 years in that role, so pretty impressive.
Yeah, but it's nice to have her there as a mentor.
Exactly. Right? Yeah, she's like, okay, define mentor, right? I'm going to be something else, right?
Yeah. You're trying to fill that role with no mentor. But
yeah, that would be a much different deal.
Much different thing.
Yep.
So let's talk about youth. Where are we at on that?
Okay. For youth, we have presented, shout out to SCJ and the city in the partnership for the presentation for the RCO grant. That is, for listeners, the grant application that would build the first leg of the Chewelah Walking Trail, which would be a paved trail which would begin on the north end of the park, follow Chewelah Creek all the way down to the bowling alley, and then also head west at the bridge. Also, most excitingly, it would include the addition of a splash pad.
Oh.
So,
Scott, you need an applause, Scott.
I did. That's been in the works for a while, the splash pad.
It has been. It's been a topic for a while. Thank you very much. It's actually the second time the city's applied for this, but part of tied to Pam McCart and the new operational support tech role, we need to get really good at grant writing, and we need to be in this hunt every single week of every single month, every single year. What I'm learning is, we're going up against hundreds of other cities in Washington, and the pot's only so big. So we need to get good at kind of putting our brand out there and talking about what makes us shine. We are moving fast in that direction. There's a long way to go to do that. So none of these are guaranteed, but if you've got as many at-bats as you can possibly get, and I learned yesterday, I'll hold the name back for now, but we have actually a very well-known local resident who is actually a professional grant writer. Just learned that yesterday, and I went, really? So we need to harvest that talent, not just City Hall. Sherry Lindstrom's working on the grant with the chamber. They've got some money set aside that's going to probably launch some very cool creative work.
Yeah, and I know on the creative district side, that's one of the things that we work on all the time. Is it's almost nonstop. We've got 2 or 3 grant applications in at all times.
Exactly.
Because you just don't know what's going to hit and what's not going to hit. And when you get it, it may not be as much as you thought it would be. That type of thing. And I know that just from a personal standpoint, because I'm kind of the front person for that at the moment, it's not an easy task.
No.
And there's 2 sides to it. One of them is even knowing the grant exists.
Right. Find your target.
Finding it, yeah.
I mean, there is so much money out there available that people don't even know exists that's available that just doesn't get earmarked. And some of
my grant writer's amazing.
Oh yeah, Melissa does a phenomenal.
Yeah, she is. I think now 5 out of 6, and the one that she didn't get was only a $500 one from a company that does light up Trotskys, with your logo on it and stuff. And we were thinking, the Northern Lights, we needed some light up stuff, to give away as gifts to members and stuff like that. That's the only one she hasn't gotten, was the littlest one she applied for.
Well, don't count her out just yet, because her and I
she's working on it again.
Yeah, her and I are working on that for Boo Fest, I believe, or maybe something further in the year. But yeah, we're back on that.
If it wasn't for our grant writer, through COVID, and the loss of memberships that we've experienced and the lack of new sponsors, I don't think our Chewelah radio station would still be on the air. I really don't, if it wasn't for the job that Melissa's doing. So if she's listening, this is for her.
Yeah, to me, that was the silver lining of COVID, is it took organizations from a single focus of trying to raise funds to broadening that out. Because a lot of those grants were there prior to COVID.
Yep.
I mean, now there's some that are specific to it, of course, but there's a lot of it prior to COVID. It's not you get lulled, you just don't know. And so you're right. The Chamber's done a good job. I think the Creative District's done a good job. I know the city's getting after that. And same thing with the lodging tax. I mean, there's 2 pools in the lodging tax. There's a city pool and there's a county pool. And I think the city does a pretty good job of getting that out, because you have very limited resources, where the county, they're begging for people to apply for it. I mean, and so
tons of low-hanging fruit.
Tons of it out there, yeah, because that's money that's collected every year, and it can't go anywhere else. It sits in a bucket, okay? So they can't take it and pay for anything else. And so just the knowledge of that exists, and then figuring out how to do it, because you are dealing with, in most cases, some kind of an agency that's really heavily regulated. So, they got to cross it. It's kind of like I was told in a meeting that we'll look at anything as long as we have a good audit trail. And that's what you need to do on the grants.
Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of agencies right now have a big push to support rural America and small businesses and stuff, and that's, I think, even hit harder through COVID, and it's been a big help.
Yep.
So a place like Chewelah, you've got, when you were talking about, fighting for the grants, we've kind of got a leg up with that whole rural America thing. And, me and Mike have talked about this before, and people have used it in grants locally of Chewelah being the poorest town in Washington. We're probably going to lose that.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those, it makes you irritated. But the silver lining there is it gets your name up.
You up the game big time.
Yeah, another aspect I wanted to plug on the youth front, if we have time, is, and I would encourage people to come to City Council on October 5th. If anything that I do as mayor is I try to organize talent. And first is identifying the need, then knowing the people who have that talent. Grant writing expertise, for instance, would be an example. But we are really fortunate to have someone who was raised here, lifeguarded our pool, graduated from Eastern, and went on to be the Parks and Rec director for 3 different cities, the last 2 of which was Mercer Island. And if you've ever seen their Parks and Rec features, it's inspiring. And then Hermiston, Oregon, and I'd say the same. Larry Fetter now lives in Chewelah, is heavily invested in our community, both down here and up at the golf course, and really interested in helping us get our Parks and Rec game on. So on October 5th, he's going to talk a little bit about the planned feasibility study that will be initiated in January. So for those who are listening, want to get involved in a meaningful way in a Parks and Rec, which directly impacts all ages, but obviously heavy on the youth side, you're going to kind of hear about that planning effort. Before you can launch into a Parks and Rec district, for instance, you've got to do that feasibility work, but he's bringing all that expertise, and he's got so much experience.
That is so awesome.
It really is exciting. So people who are interested should check it out October 5th at 6:30 at City Hall. He'll be presenting.
Okay. Anything else on the youth front?
I think that about covers it.
Okay,
for
so let's
now.
talk about enforcement. Before we got on the air, you were talking about resource officer and how that's being utilized.
Yeah.
I mean, enforcement's such a, you got to find a different word. But
yeah, maybe we'll have a contest, a new word for enforcement.
For enforcement, yeah.
I'm picturing Clint Eastwood and a big gun.
Yeah,
right.
I was going to say.
Yeah, and an orangutan, right?
Yeah.
Scott opened the show up with a policeman's hat on.
Oh, really?
He's the enforcer.
Nice. No,
new sheriff in town.
The city has hired a new police officer, Alex Lever, who is a phenomenal young gentleman, has a family, has one child, a wife, lives over on Browns Lake, and has a child, one on the way, has a rich experience, special operations, Marine, a number of tours there, police officer in Everett, Washington, SWAT team, Everett, Washington, Officer of the Year, Everett, Washington, now Chewelah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, we're so fortunate, and to have that kind of fully commissioned officer transfer right into our department is another accelerant, really, because you've got somebody who's ready to go out of the gates. The school resource officer position is something that's been in conversation for over a year now, something that's a real part of every school that Jason Perrins, our superintendent, has been part of, and now is part of the Chewelah School District, which is the first in Stevens County, which we're excited about. What I encourage people to do is expand their thinking about what a school resource officer is. It's really about relationships, mentoring, and education. Now, the safety aspect of it, 2022, no, it's not lost on anybody. It feels good to have that kind of authority figure there. A deterrent, if you will, and a presence in our schools, and this is certainly that. And nobody better than Alex. Please, when you see him out and about, get to know him. Great, great guy. But it's really about building relationships with kids. And he's got an eye for it. He's the type of gentleman who, kind of can recognize someone who might have kind of recluded themselves from activities, might need to be, kind of come under the wing a little bit, and we'll reach out to him. He'll be talking about everything from bicycle safety to kids to helping out with different social studies classes at Jenkins. So it's a really diverse role. And he's going to spend half that time in the schools and half of that time in our community policing, and we're really lucky to have him. So that's kind of the biggest win so far on the enforcement front. Everybody's excited about it. The more you get to know Alex, I think you will be too. Secondarily, the City Council, big thanks to Jolene McGee and the Code Enforcement Committee, not the funnest committee to be on because you have to look and know municipal code, study it, and then fix it where it needs to be fixed. And a lot of work to be done there. But we had some instances with dog attacks, unfortunately. What that revealed very quickly is we needed to be in a better position to handle that. Now, being a dog lover, having 2 labs and a cat in my home, which is about 3 too many pets, we all love animals, but once an animal attacks a person, once an animal attacks another domesticated animal, we need to be in a position to act and act quickly. And so the council got us in position to do that, and that was will be passed on October 5th is what I anticipate. So, so strengthening that, I would anticipate in terms of the full, whatever you want to call it, enforcement effort, we're really looking to put together a program. And it's not a program of enforcement. You're absolutely right, Mike. I wish we could find a better word for it. It's really to elevate pride in community. Our municipal code is there to create those guardrails to freedom, right? I have my freedoms, Michelle has hers, Mike, Scott, everybody's got their freedoms. The municipal code, the laws of the land are all there to provide the guardrails so that my freedom doesn't encroach on yours. And that's really what that's about. And so we really take a compassionate look at it. Sometimes, municipal code violations are a matter of economics. Sometimes they're a matter of circumstance. There's a lot of different reasons. So I really want everybody to understand the heart of the administration, the city, and anybody who's going to be involved in enforcement is a compassionate effort up front. But we also want people to know that if it's just neglect and I don't care, we are going to be serious about it. We have employed, and in fact just had the training yesterday for the first ever collections agency that Chihuahua signed up with, and this puts teeth in our enforcement effort. So Automated Accounts, who is the key primary state contracted collections agency, is now Chihuahua is now one of their clients. So that's going to put some motivation behind our effort too.
Okay. All right. Well, what else do you want to talk about? What did we cover?
Celebrations, communications. I think we hit all 5 buckets.
Hit all 5 buckets?
Yeah. There's a ton going on, more to be done. I think the best way to get involved 2 ways in our community to really get the pulse is to come to council meetings. Each meeting, updates across committees, myself, the city administrator, kind of the heartbeat of City Hall. Council meetings is the best place. Chamber of Commerce meetings, that audience is growing and growing and growing, but you really get a feel for what's going on in our community there. And with our partnership with the Chamber is going to be the best place to keep track of kind of how we're going with business economic development, which is going to be the driver.
Yeah. Well, and my perspective is don't sit on the sidelines.
Please, jump in.
It's easy to sit on the sidelines and being, that quarterback from the sidelines.
Yeah.
And I know one of the frustrations that I get when I talk to people is they're talking from an uninformed basis because they haven't participated.
Yep.
And so it doesn't take much, and you don't have to have your fingers in everything. But read the paper, go to the city council meetings. I mean, go into the website. I mean, all the minutes are in there. And they're up to date. I mean, on the city side. I mean, participate in the Fall Festival.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and Boo Fest. I mean, and Winterfest and city sidewalks. And I mean, if you want to, get a pulse of what's going on, go to these events. I think for a town of 2,600 people roughly, when you get 800 people show up at Boo Fest last year, that's a message. And the same thing, with the Fall Festival or the Christmas fairs, and all those are really designed to promote Chewelah and the people that live in it.
The strength of our culture is not going to be defined by an event or series of events. It will be defined by the number of people who engage to create and maintain those events. If we're just going to be consumers of events,
right?
I mean, you can go to Spokane, right?
Right.
But if we want to build the culture that all of us want of rural America and a true community, that's going to take involvement. So I couldn't stress that more. Get engaged. There's so much going on. There's more that's going to happen. It is a unique time in our community. We have a window of opportunity to establish our brand, and I just really encourage people to jump in. Scott?
All those people that were heartbroken when Chautauqua ended.
Yeah.
Get out there.
Amen. Great point.
Right.
Great point.
Get out there.
If you're
You
disappointed
don't
we
want to
don't
see
have a
anything
pool,
like that
get in the
happen
Parks
again.
and
It's a
Rec
sign.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the Chautauqua things is fading on the wayside with all these other things going up.
Yeah.
And what I tell people, to me, it's an idea of diversification. Anytime you put all your eggs in one basket, you're at risk. That's all there is to it. And that's kind of what happened with Chautauqua. So these other things happened, but they didn't get as much press, I guess, for lack of a better term. And now, when you diversify that out, it breeds more activities like that. And it becomes more of a unique thing. And I know as people move into the area, in the meeting I was in yesterday, we had one of the new residents in there. And I, Scott, this made my day. I said, tomorrow I'll be on the radio show. And he goes, we have a radio station?
Right.
I'm thinking you've been here for a year. You're one of those under a rock.
I wish we could afford billboards. I looked into it a few times, getting something between Chewelah and Spokane. And I even approached another business in town about sharing a billboard at one point. Because they are so expensive. But I would love to have one between Colville and Chewelah, and one between Spokane, Chewelah, just to help get the word out there. Because you kind of don't find out about it unless you're in town or something's in your face, or that's a sign too, is that we're always in the paper. So too, for people to find us.
You're on Facebook, you're on the paper, you have the website.
I did have one question, Mr. Mayor, and it might be a little in-house for us, but if a business wants to take part in our earlier conversation about the color palette for Chewelah and businesses, where do they find that information? Because I'm going to be giving our website a much-needed facelift, and I would like to incorporate some of those colors.
Terrific. Well, so while the color palette is a key component, I don't want to over-index on that one piece of it. The features of form-based code cover structural design, preserving history from color to architecture, etc. So it's broader, and the best resources, there's really two. They're both on the city website, and I'd be happy to send them to you, Scott, and anybody else who wanted them. Is the 5-year strategic plan. Now that's a 140-page document. To my earlier point, it's comprehensive and really highlights the why behind the different pillars and the initiatives. But there's also an executive summary, a little easier to digest, about 10 pages, which would just highlight the pillars and the different action items under each. You'll find the color palette in the former, in the 5-year plan, and that will, that's probably the best way to come to an understanding.
And actually, I'll one-up him. I've got the color palette. I'll scan it and send it to
There
him.
you go.
Okay, excellent.
If it's just Mike, about color palette, there you go.
I'm feeling so disconnected. Will you send me a picture too of the upgraded mural?
Oh yeah.
On 395, and then Tracy Manley's new one, because I love her
so
art.
good.
I would really like to see a finished one of
Sure.
that
Such an
without
addition.
flying to Chewelah. Although I will be there in February, so.
Oh really?
I am coming back to Chewelah in February. It's
What?
my youngest daughter's 18th birthday, and we're throwing a huge party for her. So
What part of
I'll be-
February?
Beginning of February. Her birthday's on the 4th, so it'll be right around then.
You might
I'm gonna come back and stay a week or two. So
It might just be
I will
part
be-
of Winterfest.
That's
It's,
right. I'm
People are
thinking-
throwing around February 4th for Winterfest.
We're gonna have a remote celebrity DJ.
Nice.
Yes.
I'm gonna come in and crash my own radio show.
Yay! I'm excited.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll write that down.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Did we? Yeah, I think Mike already asked you, but your last chance. Did we miss anything, Greg?
I don't think we did. Sure, enjoy spending the time with you guys. Appreciate the opportunity to connect and share what's going on in our community.
Always fun to have you on the radio.
Thank you.
So let's see. I got a new term, though, that I'm going to keep using because the mayor referred to Michelle as an accelerant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So get ready, Michelle. There's going to be some sound effects this week about you being an accelerant.
We're gonna change that sign. You know, the home of the accelerant.
Yeah.
Well,
if we have people in our audience that are, intersecting with passionate areas for which they are an accelerant, please make yourself known because they're game changers.
That's right. We're bringing on the boom.
Yeah.
Just
All
send us
right.
a little
Big
boom.
thanks to our mayor, Greg McCunn, Michelle Williams at Master Control, and always on Wednesdays, Mr. Mike Bentz. Thank you all. Big round of applause for all of you for joining the show. Thank you so much. And a reminder, if you missed any part of today's broadcast, he's always got great hits after the show. This is on Facebook and YouTube. So if you missed a portion of today's show, Wednesday's always the nonprofit roundup plus an interview guest. Check them out. They're on YouTube and Facebook. And Mary, you do pretty good. You know, usually while we're streaming on YouTube and Facebook, it's a handful of views. But by the time the show's been up for a week, we get a lot more people that come visit and check out those shows.
Fantastic.
So that's a great tool, too. Great. So thanks for being here, everybody. Have a great day. And we invite you to keep on listening to Northern Lights Public Radio. We are KCHW 102.7.
Bye.
Peace.